Hello, good evening, students. How are you? Hope all of you are doing well. So today we are going to discuss the final part of human digestive system, that how does these food particle get digested inside our body. So if you are live, then please share class with your friends. So we are going to study about the mechanism of digestion. Fine. Mechanism of digestion. So we have different food particles, like we have carbohydrate, we have fats or lipids, we have proteins, and we have nucleic acid. These are the only macronutrient which get digested by the body. Other than these vitamins, minerals, water, rough phase, these other nutrients can't be digested by our body. So in the mechanism of digestion, this carbohydrate, under the presence of certain different enzymes and at different parts of the body, will gets converted into simplest food, and the simplest form of carbohydrate is monosaccharide, and these monosaccharides are generally either glucose or fructose or galactose. So these are the some common examples of monosaccharide. Fine. So you are taking carbohydrate in various form, like you are taking carbohydrate in the form of chitin, in the form of glycogen, in the form of starch, in the form of inulin. These all products will get converted either in the form of glucose or in the form of fructose or in the form of galactose by our body enzymes. These lipids will get converted into fatty acids and glycerol. This protein will get converted into amino acid. The basic unit of protein is amino acid, and this nucleic acid, that means DNA and RNA, will get converted into, that is, nitrogenous base plus sugar plus phosphate. So these are the different forms of simplest food. These are the simplest food, and these are the complex food. And the conversion of complex food into simplest food is simply known as digestion. Is it clear to everyone? So is this clear to everyone? Now, let us understand at which part which thing get digested. Fine. So we have three different digestion site. Number one is buccal cavity. Number two is stomach. And number three is duodenum, which is the part of our small intestine. And the complete digestion of food occur in small intestine. We have to digest carbohydrate. We have to digest fats. We have to digest protein, and we have to digest nucleic acid. So the digestion of carbohydrate occurs in buccal cavity, yes. but our stomach do not contain any enzyme which can digest these carbohydrate. So the carbohydrate do not get digested by stomach juices, but carbohydrate further get digested by the intestinal juices and pancreatic juices which is present inside the duodenum. If we talk about the fats, a very little amount of fats is get digested inside our buccal cavity, but this amount is negligible, so I am crossing it. Again, very little amount of fat will get digest in stomach, but this amount is also negligible, so I am crossing it again. Mainly the digestion of fats occur by the presence of certain enzyme and bile juice which is present in our duodenum, so that complete digestion of fats occur in duodenum. The protein or salivary juice which is present in buccal cavity do not contain any enzyme which can digest protein, so I am crossing it. Stomach contains some protein digesting enzyme, so yes. If we talk about duodenum, yes, protein also get digested over here. If we talk about nucleic acid, we do not have any digestive enzyme for the digestion of nucleic acid in buccal cavity. Neither we have any digestive enzyme for the digestion of nucleic acid in stomach. But yeah, pancreatic juice as well as your intestinal juice helps in the digestion of nucleic acid. So these are the different sites at where the digestion of certain food product takes place. Like if we talk about the buccal cavity, digestion of carbohydrate takes place, but digestion of fats, protein and nucleic acid is absent over here. If we talk about stomach, digestion of fats, digestion of carbohydrate, digestion of nucleic acid is absent, but digestion of protein is present over here. Complete digestion of food occurs in duodenum, and duodenum is the part of small intestine. So if somebody is ask you where does the complete digestion of food takes place, the answer will be duodenum. But if somebody is ask you the digestion starts from, so it starts from buccal cavity. And if somebody is ask you where does the digestion of protein starts, so it starts from stomach. Fine. So these are the different side, and different food get digested over nutrient get digested over different sites. Is that clear? Is that clear to everyone? Now, so we have to understand one by one the mechanism of digestion for carbohydrate, the mechanism of digestion for fats, the mechanism of digestion for protein, the mechanism of digestion for nucleic acid. So first of all, I am going to discuss about the mechanism of digestion of carbohydrate. So when we take food, we generally take food in the form of basically what? Uh, complex food material. It contains certain amount of carbohydrate, and the most famous carbohydrate which is present in our food is starch. So the primary site of digestion of this starch or this carbohydrate is buccal cavity. So whenever you eat plant or plant products, you will get starch from them. So this starch will get digested by ptyalin, which is also known as salivary amylase. And for the action of this enzyme, chloride ions is needed by the body, and a certain pH is required, and that pH is 6.6 to 6.8. After getting these all conditions, this ptyalin acts upon starch molecule, and starch is a complex carbohydrate. It is made up of many glucose molecules. This will convert this starch into a disaccharide known as maltose. But Not all the starch get digested in buccal cavity, because we do not uh, stop our food for a period of time over here. What we do, we have to chew every bite 32 times, but we'll never chew it for 32 times. So we either choose our bite for 4 or 6 times, maximum to maximum 12 times, and we will engulf that food particle. And scientists uh, used to say that while doing this, complete digestion of starch do not takes place. Only 30% of starch get digested inside the buccal cavity. That's why we have to chew our food 32 times for their proper digestion. So 30% of the starch will get digested inside it, and this starch will gets converted into another disaccharide known as maltose. Now, maybe there may be a condition you have taken cane sugar, and the sugar present in cane sugar is sucrose. This salivary amylase only works over the starch. So this sucrose will remain in its original form only, sucrose. There may be a condition you have taken milk in your diet. Milk contains certain sugar, lactose. This salivary amylase just work only over the starch, not on the other types of carbohydrates. So they'll remain like as only as their initial state. So if you are taking fructose, or this will remain like fructose in our buccal cavity. If you are taking sucrose, it will remain like sucrose in buccal cavity. If you are taking maltose directly, it will remain like maltose in buccal cavity. But if you are taking starch, this starch will get transformed into a different different carbohydrate, that is a disaccharide known as maltose. Rest all sugar will remain as it is only. Fine. Now, after this food will transfer towards the stomach. This digested food will transfer towards the stomach, and I have already told you that our stomach do not contain any digestive enzyme for the digestion of carbohydrate, so there will be no digestion. After that, this remaining carbohydrate will send towards the duodenum, and duodenum is the site where complete digestion of food takes place, or complete digestion of every molecule takes place. How does this occur? The maltose which is coming from our mouth, we have maltose from the mouth, even we have remaining starch, that is 70% starch. Let me erase this maltose part. We have remaining starch 70% over here. So there is an enzyme known as pancreatic amylase, which is released from pancreatic juice, or which is present inside the pancreatic juice. This pancreatic amylase will digest rest of the starch into maltose and isomaltose. Now from our mouth or from our buccal cavity, we have maltose sugar, ठीक है, plus we have maltose over here, even we have isomaltose from here, and might be a chance we have taken fructose sugar, as we have eaten some kind of food, fruit, because this sugar is found in fruit. There might be a chance we have drunk up the milk which contain lactose sugar. There might be a chance we have eaten sugar cane, or we have used table sugar of our home, that is sucrose. Now all these sugar will now, in the presence of intestinal juice, ठीक है, which juice? Intestinal juice. I have already told you in previous class that these intestinal juice contain many enzymes. these intestinal juice contain, it is a mixture of many enzymes. So this maltose, under the presence of an enzyme known as maltase, which is the part of intestinal juice, will convert into glucose plus glucose. This maltose, again in the presence of maltase, will convert into glucose. This isomaltase, under the presence of isomaltase, will gets converted into glucose. This fructose, in the presence of invertase, will get converted into glucose. This lactose, in the presence of lactase, will convert into glucose plus glycogen. And this sucrose, in the presence of enzyme sucrase, these all enzymes are present in intestinal juice, will gets converted into glucose plus fructose. So that is how the complex sugar, the complex carbohydrate, will get converted into the simplest form. So what happened? When we have eaten up the food or when we have ingested the food, the carbohydrate present in them starts their digestion first. So this activity occurs in buccal cavity. 30% of starch under the presence of ptyalin, or also known as salivary amylase, an enzyme which is found inside our saliva, whose function required some chloride ion, and it works on a particular pH, that is 6.6 to 6.8. This will convert the 30% of starch into maltose sugar. Rest 70% of starch pass from it. Now if you have taken sugar cane or milk or fruits in your diet, these also sugars came from through your mouth, but these sugars do not show any kind of transformation. Reason is because we don't have any other enzymes which can convert these sucrose to their monosaccharide form inside our buccal cavity. So all these remaining sugar will, along with maltose, will get transferred through stomach. Stomach do not contain any digestive enzyme for the digestion of carbohydrate, so the food gets passed through it, and it comes inside the duodenum, which is a part of small intestine. In a small intestine, first of all, the remaining starch, that is 70% starch, by the action of pancreatic juice, which contain pancreatic amylase, gets changed into maltose and isomaltose. And after that, on all the food particle or all the carbohydrate particle, this intestinal juice works, which contains certain enzyme. Like for maltose, this contain an enzyme maltase, which convert maltose into glucose at plus 2 units of glucose. For isomaltose, it contain an enzyme isomaltase, which convert isomaltose into 2 units of glucose. For fructose, this intestinal juice contain invertase enzyme, which convert fructose into glucose. For lactose, this intestinal juice contain lactase enzyme, which convert lactose into glucose plus glycogen. For sucrose, this intestinal juice contains sucrase enzyme, which convert glucose to and fructose, which converts sucrose into glucose plus fructose. So this is how the digestion of carbohydrate takes place. Fine. Next thing. Digestion of fats. Now, through buccal cavity, inside buccal cavity, there is a very little digestion of fat. So this amount is negligible. Hence we say, okay, fat do not get digested in buccal cavity. We do not say, books usually say. But there is a very little amount of digestion of fat. Even in our stomach, there is a very little amount of digestion of fat. but books say there will be no digestion, but they contain lingual lipase, they contain gastric lipase, which helps in the very little amount. That amount is negligible digestion of fats. Now the fat molecule reaches to duodenum. So fats are generally globular structure. If you see them in microscope, they'll look like this. Now, under the presence of bile juice, which is came through, which came from liver through our gallbladder. So this bile juice is formed by the liver, but it is stored by gallbladder. And whenever there is a requirement for the digestion of fat from gallbladder, this juice came to a duct known as common bile duct, and from there it will pour all the secretions into duodenum. Now, this fat, this larger fat molecule in the presence of bile juice, or basically we can say that bile salts, will get converted into smaller oil droplets. These are the small oil droplets. This larger fat molecule will convert into small oil droplets, and these small oil droplets are known as micelles. And the conversion of larger fat molecule into smaller oil droplet, this process is known as emulsification of fat. So this small oil droplet is known as micelles or emulsified fat. We can call it as emulsified fat. So basically, what is emulsification of fat? The conversion of larger fat molecule into smaller oil droplet by the action of bile salts. This process is known as emulsification of fat. After that, on these emulsified fats, the enzyme from pancreatic juice, that is pancreatic lipase, and the enzyme from intestinal juice, that is intestinal lipase, act, and they convert these emulsified fat first into diglyceride plus fatty acids. Diglyceride plus glycerol. Diglyceride plus fatty acid. After few minutes, this diglyceride will convert into monoglyceride plus fatty acids. After few more minutes, this monoglyceride will convert into glycerol plus fatty acid. So this is the smallest form of lipids. Glycerol and fatty acid are the smallest form of lipid. So what happens during the digestion of fat? Fats usually do not get digested in these places like buccal cavity and stomach according to NCERT, but a very little amount of digestion takes place according to medicals, but this digestion is negligible. That's why we don't give the name of these enzyme in normal books. However, when these fat molecule will enter into duodenum, the juice from liver, which is stored in gallbladder, release from there and enter inside the duodenum. These bile juice, contain some salts known as bile salts, and these bile salts break down this larger fat molecule into smaller oil droplet. These smaller oil droplet are known as emulsified fat or micelles. So The process of conversion of larger fat molecule into smaller oil droplet, this process is known as emulsification of fat, which is accompanied by, which is done by bile salts. After once these smaller oil droplet form, the pancreatic juice and the intestinal juice, which is present inside duodenum, it contains certain enzyme for the digestion of these emulsified fat like pancreatic lipase and intestinal lipase. So first of all, it will form diglyceride plus fatty acid, then monoglyceride from plus, first of all it formed triglyceride, then diglyceride, then monoglyceride, then glycerol plus fatty acid. So this is how the fat get digested inside our body. So this is the digestion of fat. Fine. Next thing is number third, digestion of nucleic acid, DNA or RNA. Now, the digestion of nucleic acid do not occur in buccal cavity as well as stomach, as it do not contain any digestive enzymes for the digestion of nucleic acid. So its digestion takes place in duodenum again. So DNA and RNA, which are basically the compound made up of certain moieties, and these moieties are known as uh, nucleotides. Fine. These are commonly called as nucleic acid. So by the action of nuclease, these DNA and RNA, first of all, they get digested into nucleotides. Fine. And this nucleus is the part of pancreatic juice. Now, these nucleotide, by the action of nucleotidase, a different enzyme which came from intestinal juice, this nucleotide will get converted into nucleoside plus phosphate groups. Now, these nucleoside, by the action of, these are nucleosides. What are nucleotides? When nucleoside join with phosphate group, these molecules are said to be as nucleotides. What are nucleoside? By the action of nucleosidase, another enzyme from intestinal juice, these nucleoside will get converted into nitrogenous base plus sugar. So the compound which is made up of, which contains sugar with nitrogenous base, are known as nucleosides, and the compound which contain nucleoside plus phosphate group are known as nucleotide. And with these molecule, with many nucleotide joined together with a special type of bonds, they form either DNA or RNA. Fine. So plus phosphate group, which is the part of nucleotides. So this is how the digestion of nucleic acid takes place inside our body. Is that clear? Is that clear? No. Next thing is digestion of proteins. No. Digestion of protein starts from stomach, as our buccal cavity do not contain any digestive enzyme. So there will be no digestion of protein in buccal cavity. It will start from stomach. Our stomach release gastric juice which contain propepsin. Now this is an inactive enzyme. It will get activate under the presence of SCL. That's why SCL have two different role. One, it helps in the activation of pepsin, plus it kills 70% of the bacteria which enters inside our body through food. So it will convert propepsin into pepsin. This is the active form of the enzyme. Now, whatever protein you have eaten up, whatever protein you have eaten up, like you have consumed soya bean, you have consumed some pulses, tofu, paneer, chicken, mutton, fish. This pepsin will digest that protein into peptone and proteases. So this is the digestion of protein inside stomach. Now, after this, these molecule peptones and proteases will transfer towards and some proteins, some proteins in the form of polypeptide will transfer towards what? Duodenum. Now, in our duodenum, we have pancreatic juice. In pancreatic juice, we have trypsinogen and we have chymotrypsinogen. Now, these are the inactive forms of enzyme which is present in the pancreatic juice, and these both enzyme will help in the further digestion of these molecule which came from protein, peptone, protease, polypeptide, but these are in the inactive form. So an enzyme from intestinal juice, the name of the enzyme is enterokinase. Firstly, activate these trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen into trypsin and chymotrypsin. This is the active form of enzyme. Now, this trypsin and chymotrypsin, what they'll do on protease, on peptones, on polypeptides, these trypsin, these chymotrypsin will work over these molecule, and these molecule convert these protease, peptone, polypeptide into carboxypeptidase or dipeptides. So what happened? Let's understand the digestion of protein again, because it is a complex one. What happened in stomach? There is an inactive protein. This is an inactive protein or enzyme, that is propepsin. Under the action of SCL, this will convert into active pepsin. Now, whatever protein you are consuming from your diet, this pepsin with SCL is converting these protein into peptone, proteases and polypeptide. Now this peptone proteases and polypeptide will go in our duodenum, that is the part of small intestine. Our small intestine contain intestinal juice as well as pancreatic juice, which came from pancreas. So in pancreatic juice we have trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen, but these are again in the inactive form. So to activate them, we'll require a different enzyme, that is enterokinase, which is the part of intestinal juice. Now, this intestinal juice enzyme enterokinase convert these trypsinogen into trypsin and chymotrypsinogen into chymotrypsin, which is the active form. Now, after they get activated, the peptone proteases and polypeptide which came from our stomach under the influence of trypsin and chymotrypsin, they'll get converted into carboxypeptides and dipeptides. Now, on this carboxypeptides, another enzyme of pancreatic juice, carboxypeptidase, this is present in pancreatic juice. This will convert this carboxypeptidase into again dipeptides. Now, on these dipeptides, another enzyme known as dipeptidase, which is the part of intestinal juice, will work and convert all these dipeptides into amino acid, which are the simplest form of protein. Now, all these amino acids, all these nitrogenous base sugar phosphate group, all these glucose, fructose, not sorry, glycogen not, galactose. Glycogen is a complex polysaccharide which will get digested by our body. Okay. So all these monosaccharide, glucose, galactose, fructose, then these glycerol fatty acid, then these nitrogen based sugar phosphate group, then these amino acid will get absorbed by jejunum and ileum, and the maximum absorption of these particle takes place in jejunum. So this is how the digestion work. Now, last thing of this chapter is there is two famous nutritional disorder. Means there are many disorders related to digestive system like vomiting, constipations, jaundice, which is commonly known as pilia in Hindi. But these are two famous nutritional disorder. So these are kwashiorkor and marasmus. Kwashiorkor affects the child after 2 years. Marasmus affect the child since the starting of the birth. The symptom of kwashiorkor is belly pot, means तोंद जैसी बाहर निकल आएगी बच्चे में, एंड वीक लिम्स, हाथ पैर पतले हो जाएंगे. The symptom of marasmus is extreme thin body, मतलब पूरी बॉडी सूख जाएगी, just like a skeleton. Now, this kwashiorkor occur due to the protein malnutrition, means the baby is getting carbohydrate and fats in his diet but not able to get protein in his or her diet. तो केवल प्रोटीन की कमी हुई है, that's why this is known as protein malnutrition. On the other hand, marasmus is protein energy malnutrition, and energy compound in our body are carbohydrate and fats. So he is he or she is not getting enough amount of food in daily life. That's why his or her body will get extreme thin. So this is known as protein energy malnutrition. Let me show you the child so that you can easily distinguish between which one is suffering from kwashikar and which one is suffering from marasmus. Sorry. So this guy have belly pot with extreme thin limbs. Limbs means hands and legs. So this guy is suffering from Kashikor. On the other hand, this guy have extreme thin body. It is looking like a skeleton. So this guy is suffering from marasmus. He is not getting enough amount of protein, fats and carbohydrate in his diet. So we called it as protein energy malnutrition. This guy is getting carbohydrate and fat in his diet but not getting enough amount of protein. That's why his body is not well developed. So this is just protein malnutrition. So this is our first chapter of human physiology, that is human digestive system. From tomorrow we are going to start human respiratory system. If you have any doubt you can ask tomorrow, and please like the channel and subscribe the channel as well as share the video with your friends so that they can get free content for their exam preparation. So let's meet tomorrow at same time, that is 7 p.m. Have a nice day. Good day. Thank you. Take care.